All right, we're going to get straight into this. Let's deal with the idea of the sun. When we think about the sun, the energy associated or the attribute associated with the energy or spirit or intelligence of the sun is called integration. Also, if we were to break down the letters of the sun, S, which is a 19th letter, U, which is a 21st letter, and N, which is a 14th letter, and reduce it to a single digit, we're going to end up with the number 9, which represents universal consciousness. Universal consciousness represents a level of consciousness that's able to penetrate all forms or dimensions of reality that we refer to as matter. So in other words, universal consciousness is being aware of all dimensions simultaneously. Now, this doesn't necessarily mean things such as astral traveling and astral projection and the fourth dimension, fifth dimension. It doesn't necessarily mean dimension from that sense. It also represents dimensions from a physical sense, since that's what most people are familiar with. So what do I mean by multiple dimensions on a physical level? Meaning there are various schools of thought on the planet that's followed by countless people. Now, instead of getting mixed up and caught within the webs of these schools of thought, we learn how to integrate these schools of thoughts together to form a universal consciousness within ourselves, so that we take pieces from the cultures all around the world, merge them into one science. And this science can go by whatever name you choose to call it. Some of us call it divination, astrology, numerology, supreme mathematics, supreme alphabet, so on and so forth. Whatever we choose to call it, we can have knowledge and wisdom of these schools of thoughts, but the understanding must be developed on our own. And that's what makes our reality unique to us, is when we reach an understanding of all this information that we have taken in and learn how to apply it. We will come to develop our own understanding, which should be rooted in universal consciousness. Let's take it to the next level. So as we said, S is a 19th letter, U is a 21st letter, N is a 14th letter. If we reduce these, we get 1, 3, 5. Now, if we take this to supreme mathematics, 1 represents knowledge, 3 represents understanding, 5 represents power. Let's write all this down. Now, what does this represent? When we think about the idea of the sun, you have to have knowledge in order to understand the power that you already possess. So this isn't talking about new knowledge so that you can discover new things. This is talking about the knowledge of self that's already present within us, that's already embedded within our DNA, to truly understand our power already within us, that we sometimes call hidden traits or hidden attributes that we're born with, that we come to this earth with. So when we think about the idea of the sun, which shines its brilliance on everybody equally, it also reminds us the knowledge of ourself is going to help in the understanding or the clarity of our own individual power. So as we said before, the understanding is what makes our culture unique or our way of life unique. So when we undertake or when we intake all of this knowledge, whether it's coming from books, whether it's coming from other people, or if it's coming directly from life experience, once we go through enough things and once we study enough things and we start to develop our own understanding of all these things which we are studying, which essentially is supposed to help us unlock our hidden talents and our hidden attributes, and so that we can manifest. Remember, the sun breaks down to the number 9, which represents born or manifestation. In order to give birth to the brilliance of the sun, or the knowledge of one's understanding, which grants you this inner power already hidden within us. This is the secret of the brilliance or the idea associated with the sun. So when we think about the sun and when we think about what attributes or what ideas are associated with the sun, we can take it to the supreme mathematics and the supreme alphabets to give us further clarity. Now let's take it to the supreme alphabet and see what we end up with. So the S will be self / savior. The U is you / universe. And the N is now or end. Now, this is giving us a different perspective of the sun. This is letting us know that the true savior is self, knowledge of self. The sun is giving us the idea that we can power ourselves. We hold everything within us. That's why we're able to save ourselves in the first place, because everything is already within self. So when you study the knowledge of self, you come to the understanding of your power, which is that you are your true savior. It's not any outside force. Everything comes from the inner force, which is controlled by the mental processes. And when you begin to control and to manipulate and to understand the mental processes, you develop an understanding of the universe, meaning multiple things at once, being aware of multiple dimensions, as we were just talking about earlier, that integration of the higher and the lower worlds in a matter sense as well as a spiritual sense. So the universe lets us know that self savior within us is also in harmony with the universe. That's what we call synchronicity. These concepts are not separate. They may appear to be separate on the surface, but they are actually intertwined on a esoteric level, which leads to the now or end, meaning once we understand that we must save ourselves, which is basically having mental control or mental force over our thoughts, which has an influence over the universe, because there is no separation. All is mind, all is one. This universal consciousness that we have arrived must be implemented now or end, or now or never. In other words, we have to be self right now. It's not something that we can put off till tomorrow or next week. Every day we're faced with countless and endless reasons to not study self and to give our attention away to external stimulation at all times. So we're not putting in that work on ourselves right now. every minute of every day, we open ourselves up to deception and illusion. Things that appear to be real, but in reality are false. But if we assume the falsehood is the true reality, we create within our minds, using our own mental processes, our own hell. Because now we start to look at the outside to save us, whether it be in the form of a person, whether it be in the form of a substance, whether it be in the form of a so-called energy on the outside of us, which truly does not exist. So this is just giving a quick insight where we can truly delve deep into the idea and the attributes associated with the sun, other than, what we know and what we have been taught by science. So this is how we dig a little deeper into the esoteric meanings of the ideas associated with this energy. Till next time.